Welcome to Dandy Soap DIY. We are going to reclaim and repurpose items to make Christmas projects this year. Do it yourself. Let's start with 10 mason jar rings.
On this crop a dowel, it is even more impressive when you're starting to do the ornaments here. I got this in at Hobby Lobby. Just in case, I'm going to put a link to it underneath the video in the description box. This one, and I've been using the small. I've already put the holes up top of my lids even after. But this is what I want to show off to you. Like these, they are wooden, so you could use the back or the front. And literally, I'm going to use the small hole here, and I'm just going to place it right there and center it. And these are wooden, and this is how heavy duty this thing is. Just that simple. I mean, just press it like you would anything else. No extra strength needed. And voila, you have your hole there. And then like this one, I'm actually going to go a little bit lower for that, so that when I put my little hanger in there, and then these others, I already have them kind of staged where I want them. This one right here, rather than punching a hole and messing up the wordage, I'm just going to glue my hanger onto the back and then put it through the hole. Now the other tip I wanted to give you when you're doing yours is tie them in the rear. Instead of running the string and tying them up front, tie them in the back, and then that way the ones that you want to suspend in the center of your ring will.
When you do your mason jar rings, keep in mind you can paint the rings if you like, and you can change these out from season to season as time changes, and therefore give it a vintage feel or a modern feel. If you're doing this for someone as a gift, bear things in mind, small little items that you can collect along the way and make it themed any way you like. And you can fix it to dangle. So let's move to our vintage postage stamp ornaments. I grabbed the wood tags at Michael's, and you can use those from Dollar Tree. You'll find a free printable link to these vintage stamps, and I grabbed a fat quarter at Dollar Tree, and you'll need Mod Podge. Now this fern chalk paint by Waverly, it is so gorgeous. It really truly has that old-fashioned vintage feel to it and appearance. The color is magnificent. And you want to kind of do a sand to distress the back of them. Use a moist wipe to wipe them off, and that removes the dust. Go ahead and use your crimping shears or your paper cutters like mine and cut out your stamps. Here's a crafter's tip. Use some double-sided tape and grab your Lazy Susie from the kitchen. You can cover it with press and seal Glad, and therefore you can take that off as you need to, or you can wipe it up and clean it up. And I tape mine down and then apply the Mod Podge. You will need the smallest amount of Mod Podge. Please don't overdo it, just enough. And cut your fabric to fit your size tag by tracing it out and cutting out as many as you need. This particular free printable, there are 16 vintage stamps. You will have 6 that lie horizontally, all the rest of them lay vertically. Put a small amount of Mod Podge, just enough to adhere it to the fabric. We will be taking some extra steps shortly, so stay tuned. The idea is to get your stamp on the fabric and the fabric attached to your wood tag. You can also use some scrapbook paper if you don't have wooden tags. Don't limit yourself, keep your mind open. Now, to ensure that our vintage stamp stays on there for years to come, put a layer of Mod Podge in a very small amount over top that seals it. I have these rubber stamps that are Christmas themed. You are going to love this idea to do your Christmas DIY project. This would look beautiful on packages as well and adorn all your gift packages. Therefore, they have a tag that converts into an ornament, and it has a vintage feel. Or you can use all of these to decorate a tree. Now you are using your stamps to stamp the back as well as the front to make it look like Santa Claus postage delivery. For those of you who are making them to sell, you need a mini press or an iron. And those of you who are doing this from home, use your clothing iron. Make sure the steam's not running and put it on high heat. Use a parchment paper to lay over top and press them. This is how you make sure the fabric is adhered to your tag. Now, here's some history. Modern tinsel was invented in Nuremberg, Germany in 1610, and it was originally made out of silver. Can you believe that? Wouldn't you love to get a hold of some of those vintage ornaments? This is why they call it tinsel stems, because those of us who remember vintage ornaments, the ornament was always lined out with tinsel, and you can use this to make ornaments look really pretty, and no glitter is needed. You still get the shine and no shed and no worry about glitter. Now, if you use your Sure Bonder glue gun, and this is the mini, which has a micro tip, you can put a small amount of glue around the edging, and of course your tinsel stem bends so you can put it around there. So I'm adorning it now with a little bit of greenery and a berry, just like they were vintagely. Now this is how you make a vintage retail bow for your vintage postage stamp Christmas ornament. You basically are bending that chenille stem around, and then you're going to twist it and leave in the tails. And voila, you have a perfectly adorable bow. And this is how they did it for the original ornaments. Glue it into place. If you're liking this video, I sure appreciate the thumbs up. It lets me and YouTube know you enjoy it. And isn't it beautiful? They had the vintage-like ribbon at Dollar Tree, and I ran out, so I just grabbed some satin red, and it was perfect for this. There again, 16 ornaments you can do yourself. Reclaim your door casing and crown trim that is due to be thrown away. Use 2 of these new colors, Bahama Blue and Patine chalk paints. And you'll want to cut this with your jigsaw. It's real easy, and you'll do it on a 45-degree angle. Now, each cut that you make, you will need a total of 6 pieces. And you'll need a 1x1 for the trunk and your Waverly chalk paints of various colors that coincide with each other, because the chalk paints really match really well. So you'll need 6 pieces altogether, each being 1 inch to 1.5 inches longer than the other. So start out and cut out all of your pedestals, your trunks, and paint you some stars. This was the metallic antiquing copper by Folk Art, and then I used the antiquing wax by Waverly for my pedestal and my trunk. This is a really easy Christmas DIY project, great for gifts. The 1x1 needs to be cut a minimum of 18 inches long, and then your 45-degree angle on your pieces. Your top piece needs to be at least 6 inches long, and then you will do each piece thereafter an inch to 1.5 inches longer than your top piece. This way you get that 45-degree angle flowing just like a Christmas tree. Now that you've got all of these staged where you want to place them, bear in mind the star will go at the top. But I'm going to lead you on how to do it properly the first time, since I made a few mistakes and I got it right the next time. So I have them all in order. Let me introduce you to the Sure Bonder Trigger Fire staple gun. This is not your ordinary staple gun. This is heavy duty and very powerful, and for those of us with carpal tunnel or arthritis and issues with our hands, you can use this staple gun, and that will keep it quiet where you don't have to get out the air compressor and staple gun. This is going to require the longest staple that this gun accommodates, and it's pretty long. It'll go through both pieces of wood, and as you see me loading it right there. Now when you pull the handle forward, it unlocks it. So now the gun is ready to be fired. Now this has a minimum and a maximum to where you can really truly use it heavy duty. This is great for furniture too. You will circle it around and turn the dial to trigger. This little green trigger will fire hands-free per se. In other words, when you pull the hammer down, it is in position for you to hit that button to fire the staple. So you'll watch me and I'll be in action with this. It's really easy to use. You'll put at least a staple in each one and get it centered. And once you push them closer together and making sure they're staying even Steven. So I basically measured mine on my mat there, found my center, placed them on my 1x1 stick, and then began stapling them down. I put at least one staple in each, but you will need 2 to 3 staples per piece of trim mold to lock it into place. And we will also be using some hot melt glue as well. If you're liking this video, give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Do not put your star on just yet. This is the lesson I learned. Go ahead and use your hot glue, and anywhere that wood is touching, you want to place the hot glue down the back of it. This is extra insurance and durability so that when it falls over or gets blown over, it'll stay in place. Go ahead and pre-drill your screw into your 3.5 or 4x4 square. Attach it to your trunk, which is 18 inches long. Then apply your star to the top. This way you don't break it off, and you need the leverage in order to get enough pressure to screw your pedestal onto your tree. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and until the next DIY, well, this is Elizabeth, and I'll be crafting y'all. Merry Christmas.